The movie begins with Jack Wallace reading a bedtime story to his daughter Martha and having discussed how the story relates to their situation, and Martha gives her dad a gift and goes to sleep, leaving Jack looking at her with concern and love. 6 years later, in 1945, at the end of the war, Jack Wallace is aboard an English military aircraft over southern Germany. A crew member introduces him as a war hero, which Jack humbly acknowledges. Their conversation hints this might be their final mission. Suddenly, they encounter severe turbulence and hear explosions. Some crew members look out the window and are shot at, with one getting hit in the neck. As they try to help, the shooting intensifies, causing more turbulence and forcing them to jump from the aircraft abruptly. After landing, Jack Wallace, Connor, and the captain reach a nearby forest where they engage in a gunfire exchange and emerge victorious. Jack notices the enemy soldier's division symbol is unfamiliar. While disposing of the bodies, Jack has a vivid flashback of his daughter Martha lying in place of one of the deceased, which he tries to ignore. As they proceed through the forest, they find their crew member Owens hanged on a tree with the unknown division symbol. This raises suspicions about the mission, leading Jack to confront the captain about why they were deceived. The captain responds by telling Jack to keep an eye out and continue the mission. Exiting the forest, they find a building. Jack approaches it cautiously and enters to investigate. While searching inside, a pistol is suddenly pointed at his head from behind. He quickly turns around to find another crew member called Deegan teasing him. Angry, Jack pulls him aside and warns him about his actions. The captain and Connor enter the building, which turns out to be the church mentioned in their briefing. They assess their situation, acknowledging their losses. Jack attempts to establish radio contact with the base, but discovers the comms are broken. Frustrated, he takes out his notebook and starts writing to his daughter, becoming emotional. The captain then reveals the mission's objective: to extract an American professor named Hopper, who has lived in Germany for 25 years. Connor, a Harvard graduate scientist and Hopper's colleague, was brought on the mission to identify the professor and retrieve relevant papers on the world's first atomic weapon. Later, they discuss the mission's near impossibility, noting their lost crew members and broken communications. The captain and Connor stress the extraction's urgency, warning them of an imminent Russian bombing. Emphasizing that success could help win the war, the four head to an abandoned Nazi airbase where the professor is held hostage. Sneaking into the airbase, they find dead officers in several buildings. As they proceed, Jack experiences vivid flashbacks of his daughter again while looking at the dead officers. The captain interrupts, noting the bullet casings appear Western, suggesting a Russian operation. During their conversation, Corporal Deegan enters without Connor, who he was supposed to protect. Fearing Connor might have been abducted, they rush to find him, only to discover he has found an equation on a board left by the professor. Deeper in the corridor, they find more dead officers and the same unfamiliar symbol. This reveals that a Russian extraction group had been there before them and faced resistance from the unidentified Nazi division. Later that day, they continue their search for the professor. While on the road, they hear a gunshot and approach the source, discovering Nazi soldiers from the same division executing civilians. They are forced to tragically witness the execution, unable to intervene without jeopardizing their mission. After a long walk, they find a house and knock on the door. A woman answers and asks in German if she can help them. The captain replies that they are looking for her husband, to which she responds that he has been dead for 6 years. The captain thanks her for their help and she lets them in. While serving them dinner, the woman learns about their search and informs them that the Nazi division recently transported someone important, suggesting the professor might still be alive. She reveals this new division is called the Wolves Angels, a desperate initiative by Hitler to recruit and brainwash young people as the war seemed lost. As she speaks, the woman becomes emotional and leaves the table. Jack notices a photograph of her with her son, whom the captain had killed earlier. Shocked, Jack asks about her son, and she reveals that the new division has taken him to their base 10 kilometers away. As Jack attempts to get the old radio working, which they acquired from the household, the captain enters the room. Jack insists that the woman deserves to know what happened to her son and expresses his distrust towards her. The captain advises Jack to accept the realities of war and mentions he has a plan that involves bringing the woman along. The next day, they confirm the professor's presence in the heavily guarded base. Deegan snipes from a distance while the captain and Jack silently take out soldiers with knives. Jack gets caught in a gunfight, but Deegan saves him with a precise shot before he loses consciousness. Once the immediate threat is cleared, they regroup at the building. As they prepare to leave, Connor becomes overwhelmed upon seeing the dead soldiers, struggling with the harsh reality as a scientist not accustomed to such violence. All four take badges from the dead officers, disguising themselves as soldiers of the Wolves Angels. Deegan releases a horse from the base, revealing his fondness for them due to his family's history of breeding horses. Meanwhile, the captain and Jack rig explosives in the area and discuss Jack's daughter Martha, who will soon turn 12. The captain encourages Jack to reunite with her and expresses sympathy for the civilians they couldn't save earlier, emphasizing that the mission aims to save everyone, even though it's risky and potentially suicidal. He reaffirms that Jack was chosen for this mission for a reason. As they finish their conversation, a military vehicle approaches approaches. Unconcerned, they recognize it as the woman from earlier. They board the vehicle and head deep into the base, leaving Deegan behind in a sniper position. Not far from there, they encounter two officers on watch who demand identification. The woman poses as someone delivering new recruits from Hungary who support the Furrier's cause. She mentions her son serving there and even offers wine, gaining the officers' trust. They proceed into the building, where the captain instructs the woman to unload the box they brought while they head upstairs. Upstairs, Jack, disguised as one of the soldiers, approaches two guards outside a door. One complains of standing too long, thinking Jack is his relief. Swiftly, Jack and the captain apprehend both guards skillfully with knives, incapacitating them. They enter the guarded room to find the professor and a young woman, who appears to be his assistant, working on something important. After explaining the situation and gathering all necessary documents, they prepare to leave. However, they discover that the young woman is actually the professor's daughter, Hannah, and he refuses to leave without her. Back downstairs, the woman awaits them with the box unloaded. Upon their arrival, she notices there are two of them now. She points out that the box won't be able to conceal both individuals. The captain decides they have no choice but to try hiding both Jack and the professor's daughter in the box and proceed. The officer overseeing the previous civilian execution suddenly enters the building with soldiers. Noticing Connor struggling with an empty box after unloading wine, he sees a British gun, heightening his suspicions, and implies to the woman that she must be mourning her son's loss. He reveals that her son was killed by the English, hinting that he knows their true identities. Tension rises as his soldiers point guns at the captain's team. He hands his gun to the woman, urging her to seek revenge and take the shot. However, she takes the gun and shoots at the officer, only to find it empty. Chaos erupts as Jack and the captain open fire on the surrounding soldiers, creating an opportunity to escape. They exchange gunfire outside, while Deegan provides cover from his sniper position. More soldiers arrive, intensifying the battle and making their escape difficult. As they attempt to reach their vehicle, the woman gets shot. She sacrifices herself to help Jack and the others escape, taking down soldiers before being fatally shot by the officer. Her actions are dedicated to her son, as she courageously faces danger to ensure their safety. Returning to the area rigged with explosives, the captain and his team hid under a bush near a detonation device, waiting for the soldiers to approach. As they position themselves, Deegan notices the horse he freed earlier within the explosion's range and rushes to save it without warning. Simultaneously, a soldier shouts a warning about explosives, alerting the Nazi officer. Jack detonates the explosives, causing a massive blast that eliminates all soldiers within range. After the explosion, they continue their escape in the vehicle with two soldiers in pursuit, firing at them. As the soldiers close in, Deegan appears riding the horse he rescued, shooting one soldier and leaving the other for the professor to handle, who takes the shot. They gather at the woman's residence, where Connor informs Deegan they feared he was caught in the explosion. Upon arrival, Hannah discovers her father has been shot, leading her to frantically call for assistance. They bring him inside to address his wounds promptly, but sadly, the professor succumbs to his injuries. Devastated, Hannah blames them for his death, but they explain their noble intentions. They proceed to give him a proper burial. Connor comforts her, sharing his admiration for her father's extraordinary qualities and speculating on how he might have helped end the war. The captain and Jack discuss the war's impact on them. Jack worries about his daughter seeing his changes and wants her to remember him as a loving father. He reflects on her presence as he looks at a gift she gave him 6 years ago. Connor finds the professor's project prototype and tells the team. They realize their main goal is to gather all information on the atomic weapon prototype. With Hannah's help, they learn its location in a nearby bunker and start planning to recover it. Meanwhile, the Nazi officer and his soldiers reach the deceased woman's house, realizing the English team has been there and deducing their next destination. Upon arriving at the bunker's location, the captain's team finds no prototype, but rather Hannah's children. Feeling deceived, the captain grows angry with Hannah. Connor suggests that she and her father likely developed the weapon together, making her an equally valuable asset to retrieve. This forces the captain to quickly arrange a plan to rescue her and her children instead. As they exit the bunker, a grenade is thrown down the opening, prompting them to take cover and improvise their escape. With the exit blocked, they maneuver through the bunker's deeper parts and find another way out. However, upon reaching the exit, they are met with soldiers opening fire, surrounding them and preventing retaliation. Facing overwhelming odds, they surrender under the condition that the officer spares the lives of the two children and Hannah. While awaiting execution, kneeling, the captain checks his watch and suddenly orders the crew to escort the hostages to safety. He then bravely stands and walks toward the Nazi officer, despite multiple guns aimed at him. As the officer prepares to shoot the captain, Hannah retrieves a gun hidden in her child's coat and wounds the officer. Seizing the opportunity, the captain takes the officer hostage with his own gun, clearing a path for their escape. However, the officer manages to break free, and gunfire erupts from both sides as they seek cover. During the shootout, Connor is shot in the shoulder and drops the bag containing their only way back home. As a bazooka is fired at them, smoke fills the air, providing cover for their escape from the Nazi soldiers. soldiers. Connor informs them he has lost the bag. Meanwhile, a military aircraft communicates with the base, indicating it is 5 minutes away. As the soldiers advance on the captain's team, he moves to retrieve the dropped bag while Jack and Deegan provide cover. Suddenly, Hannah's son leaves cover to pick up his toy and is spotted. Deegan rushes to save the child, but tragically gets shot and dies in the attempt. Trying to retrieve the bag, the captain is shot 3 times but persists until he finally reaches it. As he opens the smoke to alert the incoming aircraft, he is shot a 4th time and collapses, dropping the smoke. Meanwhile, the aircraft drops bombs in the area without seeing the smoke to guide them, initially appearing unsuccessful. However, green smoke suddenly emerges from the capsule, where at this point, it was impossible to abort the bombs. After the explosions, all soldiers are dead except for Connor, Hannah, and her children. Jack is injured by debris from the bomb blast, struggling to breathe and losing consciousness. Connor rushes to his aid, applying pressure to his wounds as Jack passes out. Martha, Jack's daughter, is seen reading her father's notes by the window. Suddenly, she spots her father walking outside and rushes to him with excitement. Jack, who miraculously survived, is in disbelief as Martha hugs him. Before he can utter a word, the movie comes to an end. And with that, the movie ends. We hope you enjoyed our video. Watch the next recaps on the screen and don't forget to subscribe for more amazing recaps. See you in the next one.